What's up, diggity dogs?
You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another episode of Red-Eye Responds. Today I'll finally be responding to Corbin's Unpopular Opinions video that he did a couple months ago. Now, I'm putting the disclaimers on this as always. I don't think Corbin would copyright strike me, considering he's my friend, but I'm putting it on there for the clips I'm using from TV shows and such, because they are still used in fair use. That said, don't harass Corbin. As I said, he's my friend. If you do that, you're a bad person. And let's just jump right into it. Let's just dive in.
Hello everybody, it's me, Corbin. Today I'm going to be talking about my unpopular opinions. I saw Fugitive Red-Eye, I don't watch all of his videos, I watch most of them, but I saw he was doing videos on certain YouTubers and what opinions he agreed and disagreed with, and one of them was an unpopular opinions video, and that made me want to do my own unpopular opinions video. I think it would be cool if Fugitive Red-Eye, talked about this video.
Well, this isn't a reasonable use of my time and resources, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Ask and you shall receive, Corbin. Ask and you shall receive.
Now, my first unpopular opinion on this list is I think the Super Mario Bros. Movie is a genuinely good movie.
What the fuck?
First off, that movie bored the shit out of me when I first watched it, but on top of that, it definitely has a lot of objective flaws. So, I don't know if I would necessarily say it's a genuinely good movie. I don't know. For me, you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons with the movie, and for me, it just didn't do anything for me. So, subjectively, I just didn't like it. I found it really fucking dull. I'm not saying that there's a problem if somebody likes it. I just don't know how you can think it's a genuinely good movie, because it's kind of a mess plot-wise. That said, it's definitely not the worst thing in the world, and I think it definitely gets hated on maybe more than it needs to.
I get that this movie isn't connected to the games very well, and I'm honestly perfectly fine with that. It puts being a real movie before having fan service, and despite that, it still has plenty of things from the game. It includes lots of characters from the game, like Mario, Luigi, Daisy, Peach, Bowser. It has Goombas and Koopas, Toad, and Yoshi.
Again, my problem isn't so much that it's not like the game. My problem is I just found it fucking boring. That said, there were a couple of lines and stuff I got a chuckle at, oh, there's three Marios, Mario, and Luigi Mario, and I constantly reference that. But, I don't know, my problem wasn't necessarily that it's not like the game, it's just that I didn't really enjoy the movie all that much. And here's the thing, I love bad movies. I love so bad it's good movies. But I just couldn't get into this one, even in that regard.
And explains the Mario lore in a more realistic way.
I don't think a single thing about that movie is, realistic. I get you said more realistic, so, I mean, fair. Because it's not like an alternate dimension. Actually, no, it does kind of have alternate dimensions, doesn't it? Because it has, the dinosaur world. But, I don't know. I don't think the movie's particularly realistic either. But I get where you're coming from when you say more realistic. I'm just being, very nitpicky and being a cocksucker right now.
It has plenty of references to the games, like the Bob-omb and the boots that make them jump higher.
Actually, the games didn't have boots that made them jump higher. I don't think they do now, but they especially didn't when that movie came out. Those boots were made up for the movie, and were later the inspiration behind the boots in Portal that allow you to, cushion your fall.
Also, I get that in the beginning, King Koopa looks nothing like how he does in the games, but in the end, he does turn into a dinosaur, and that's pretty close to what he is like in the games.
I mean, yeah, kinda, but he's more of a turtle in the games. But again, that's not really my issue. My issue isn't, oh, it's not like the game. My issue is I just don't like the movie.
I get that a lot of the characters aren't similar enough to how they are in the games, but it's a live-action movie, and it's supposed to take place on Earth, so I can understand why it might be a little hard to do that.
I don't think it'd be hard at all. I think you could still have the crazy-looking characters and stuff, because, again, the dinosaur world and whatnot, you could just have, the mutations look more like they do from the games. I get, in essence, what you're saying, because it is more difficult with live-action actual people, because, let's face it, the Mario character designs are very, very cartoony, but I think it could have been pulled off a lot better.
I definitely wouldn't call it the best game movie ever, but I would still put it up there with the Silent Hill movie, the Mortal Kombat movie.
Now, I've yet to watch the Silent Hill movie, so I can't honestly say if I would, consider that on par with this. I hope not, because I don't really like this movie. But the Mortal Kombat movie, the original, absolutely not. I love that movie. That is way better. That is leagues above this movie. Because the Mortal Kombat movie is fun, it's cheesy, and it does the game fairly well justice, in my opinion. In all honesty, I don't even think I'm going to bother seeing the new Mortal Kombat movie just because I like the 90s one so much. That, and I've heard some things about this one might have some new age bullshit in it that I'm not looking forward to.
I think the biggest reason people don't like it is because it's not a cartoony movie.
That's not my reason. Again, my reason is I just found it fucking boring.
But if that's what you want, I'd say just go watch the Super Mario Super Show.
Yes, I would absolutely recommend the Super Show. I fucking love the Super Mario Bros. Super Show and its subsequent follow-ups. The Super Show's fucking great, so I agree with you on that.
I personally really like the Mario cartoon shows. They're actually pretty good.
I absolutely agree. The Mario cartoon shows are great. The Super Show is definitely the best of the three, but the other two are still pretty good.
Now, for my next unpopular opinion, I think the Doom movie is actually a good movie.
Well, I don't agree that it's a good movie, but it's a fun movie. I absolutely love the Doom movie.
I don't even like this movie ironically. I genuinely think it's a good movie.
See, for me, my enjoyment is at least partially ironic of it because it's stupid, but it's mostly just fun. I wouldn't call it a genuinely good movie. I don't think it's, like, well-written, well-conceived, and I don't think it has, like, a, well-constructed structure, but I definitely think it's fun. And I do enjoy it a hell of a lot. I have a lot of fun with it, so I get where you're coming from, but I don't think it's genuinely good. I don't think it's, like, well-written or, like, a masterpiece in any way, shape, or form.
The only thing I dislike about it is that the creatures are aliens, not demons, and that humans who have evil in them turn into monsters or something.
I realize that you're saying that that's a small thing, but that's a pretty big thing. That is one of the biggest flaws with the movie. Like, it doesn't kill it for me. I have fun with the movie, but it's just a stupid movie that... It's what you call a popcorn flick. You throw it on, you eat some popcorn, and have a good time.
There's even this cool first-person segment with this guy who goes... where this guy goes around shooting all the monsters, and it's really cool.
I absolutely agree. The first-person sequence is fucking great, and I think you'd actually find most people tend to agree that that's the one great part of the movie. That said, I enjoy the movie overall. I think it's great. I love it. But for me, it's just a dumb movie. I can turn my brain off and have a good time.
I think the movie should have been more violent, and I think Doom Guy should have been in it, but it's still a good movie.
I mean, I think it was plenty gory. I mean, maybe it could have been a little bit more violent, but I thought there was plenty of gore in it. As far as Doom Guy being in it, I get why he wasn't, because this was actually based on Doom 3 rather than Doom 1 and 2. And the Doom Guy in Doom 3 is basically just a generic Marine. So the fact that the main characters in this are generic Marines kind of makes sense, given this is based off Doom 3.
A million times better than Doom Annihilation.
Let's face it, it's not really hard to beat Doom Annihilation.
Rugrats sucks.
Now, we have argued about this behind the scenes many, many times, and I couldn't disagree more. Rugrats is fucking fantastic, and I've noticed that there's a lot of the new generation that tends to just not get it. I remember one time when Corbin was talking to me about it, he said, "You didn't find the babies cute." It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to. They're really fucking weird looking. Why would you? Like, cuteness is not a factor that would be in this show. Like, I hate cuteness. Why would that be something I care about? So that's something he misunderstood. But he said that, he doesn't find the babies funny and all that, and I can get that, but the babies aren't, like, the funniest part. The funniest parts are Stu, Lou, and Drew, specifically. But the baby stuff can be pretty funny, too, when it's, like, wacky and they say shit wrong and stuff like that. Like, I have a great time with Rugrats.
I will admit that I do like the parts of the show with the parents.
And again, those are the best parts of the show. Stu, Lou, and Drew are the best characters. They're fucking fantastic.
I think those parts are genuinely funny, but most of the show is just baby jokes.
I don't think that's fair. I think a lot of the show has jokes with Stu, Lou, and Drew, and Betty, and Howie, and all the others. But I also think that there's movie references, there's Reptar. I love Reptar. Reptar's fucking great. So I think that that's a bit of an unfair understatement, especially since I don't think you've watched a ton of the show, because I think you've told me that before. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you have seen more of it at this point. But, no, I don't think that's fair to say that that's all the show is. Because there's a lot of little jokes here and there.
And the adventures these babies go on are always boring.
I disagree wholeheartedly. A lot of them are really fun and wacky, and there's a lot of them that are actually movie parodies, too. So, I disagree wholeheartedly, but unfortunately, that one's just a matter of taste.
Angelica's annoying.
That's the point. Angelica's actually one of my favorite characters. Out of the kid characters, she's my favorite, because she's just an obnoxious little brat. I love that. It's funny to me.
I get that that's the point, but don't care.
I mean, I get that if it's a matter of taste. A lot of people have issues with Angelica. In all honesty, I feel like when PewDiePie said he didn't like Rugrats because of Angelica, that got a lot of people to start saying they didn't like Rugrats. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. But I feel like that started this whole thing because I started hearing people make a lot of the same points as PewDiePie, which is kind of what you're doing here. But again, I don't think that's what you're doing. I just think a lot of people started doing that.
Big Bang Theory isn't terrible.
You're not just wrong, you're stupid. And you're ugly, just like your mum.
Yeah, no, that's a big disagree for me, Chief. Absolutely not. Big Bang Theory's fucking dull, it's stupid, it tries so hard to be relatable. It's like, hey, guess what? How do you do, fellow nerds? This is nerd culture, which is all trendy and fun and kooky. Aren't we just the quirkiest characters? We're so fun and relatable. Don't you just love us?
I did used to like Big Bang Theory, but
Yes, and I used to make fun of you a lot for it.
I don't watch it anymore.
Well, you are growing. You are progressing as a person, I'll give you that.
But I don't get why it gets as much hate as it does.
I do, because it's phony and plastic, and it pretends to be, like, super, like, hey, look, we're nerds, too, so let's just throw in a bunch of generic, really mainstream nerd references. Like, granted, I think nerd culture is the stupidest thing ever, how it's, like, this trendy thing where everyone's like, look, I'm a cool, hip nerd. It's fucking lame. So that's, like, the embodiment of what this show is, so that's why it gets so much hate, because it's so fake and fake relatable. I don't like it.
It's just another sitcom, but with, like, a nerd theme to it.
I mean, that's pretty much a good description of it, that it's a sitcom with a nerd theme, but, like, it's not a funny sitcom. There's not a single joke in it that has ever made me laugh.
I get that the laughing is annoying, but every sitcom has laugh tracks.
That's not true. That's not true at all. Malcolm in the Middle doesn't have a laugh track. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia doesn't have a laugh track. Peep Show doesn't have a laugh track. Arrested Development doesn't have a laugh track. I could go on and on. There's quite a few that don't.
And at least Big Bang Theory is actually done in front of a live audience.
Most classic sitcoms are, although I don't think that's true with Big Bang Theory. I seem to remember it actually being laugh tracks. I could be wrong, because I've seen a lot of videos where they remove the laugh track, and actually those videos are kind of funny in the fact that it points out just how painfully unfunny the show is, because when you remove the laugh track, none of the jokes land, and it's funny because of how awkward it is, because the show is not funny. The show has big, long pauses waiting for the laughs when you remove the laugh tracks, and it's funny because the jokes are so unfunny.
So it's not just fake canned laughter, it's like actual laughter.
Again, I don't think that's true, but I haven't watched enough of it. You've seen more of it than I have, so you could be right. I've only seen clips of it here and there, and then I've seen a couple of episodes, and I'm like, this show is trash.
Another reason I hear people hate it is because the writers of it don't actually know anything about nerd culture.
Again, nerd culture as a concept is fucking stupid with me to begin with, but I do agree it is fucking dumb, because a lot of the shit they put is just really mainstream normie stuff that's just really fake and phony and tried to be fake relatable.
And most of the jokes are just pop culture references.
That's also very true. I mean, pop culture references can be done in a funny way, but they definitely don't do it funny in The Big Bang Theory.
But what sitcoms do really have good writing?
Malcolm in the Middle, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I would argue Still Standing, Peep Show, Blackadder, Red Dwarf, The Office, both versions, both main versions. There's other ones in other countries too. I haven't seen them. I've only seen the British version and the US version. Wilfred, both versions. There's lots of sitcoms with great writing. I don't think that's a fair criticism to say, oh, well, no sitcoms have good writing. Tons of sitcoms have great writing. What are you talking about? The Simpsons, classic Simpsons especially. Not so much later Simpsons, but The Simpsons is an animated sitcom, so I mean, that's a little bit of a different thing than live-action sitcoms, but it's still a sitcom.
2.5 Men has bad writing and annoying laughing. Friends has bad writing and annoying laughing.
Well, I'd agree with you there on Friends. I've never seen 2.5 Men, so I can't comment on that.
And The Ranch has bad writing and annoying laughing.
Again, I'm not familiar with that one either.
As far as I can tell, Big Bang Theory is just like all the other sitcoms, so I don't get why it's the most hated.
I mean, I don't like a lot of the generic sitcoms like Friends, and I've never really watched 2.5 Men or anything like that. I think that you're underplaying just how god-awful the jokes are. I mean, bazinga, am I right, boys? But seriously, the show is so fucking bad. Like, I don't know why you can't get it. I mean, again, it could just be a matter of taste, as in you have shit taste, which, I mean, hey, that's no surprise. I've known you for, 3 years now? So, I mean, that shouldn't surprise me at this point. But no, I think that there's plenty of great sitcoms that have wonderful writing out there. The Bernie Mac show's really funny. So it just depends on how the writing is, and the writing in The Big Bang Theory is like, again, it's fake, and it feels like it's made by a committee of people trying to say, how can we appeal to these gamer types, these nerd types? How can we be relatable? How do you do, fellow kids?
Also, Kaylee Kukuo, I don't know how to say her name. But whoa. She's a hot one, ain't she?
Yeah, but that doesn't make the show good. And there's hotter chicks out there for sure.
13 Reasons Why is the worst show of all time.
I agree. I think that most people would agree that it's bad. But yeah, I definitely think it's really bad. So it's definitely one of the worst ones out there for sure. I would say it's the worst show in like the genre market it's trying to go for drama. Like, I don't know if I'd say that it's like the worst show ever, just because there's a lot of different types of shows that are out there that can be pretty bad. But it's definitely the worst live-action drama.
I'm not even saying it's a bad show. I'm saying it's the worst show I've ever watched, ever. I hate it. I don't understand why anybody likes it.
No, neither do I. You know that I have a close friend that really likes it, and I don't get it either. It makes no sense to me. It's fucking stupid. It's also trying to be relatable and, like, trying to seem... Like, my biggest problem with the show is it thinks it's fucking deep when it's not. It thinks it has this really clever, deep message to say, and it just doesn't. It's got absolutely no depth to it, but it's pretending it is.
And you might think this opinion isn't unpopular because reviews of 13 Reasons Why say it's terrible. But every teenage girl I know loves this show for some reason.
Teenage girls are the worst people in existence. They're hardly even people, so do their opinions really count?
My librarian even told me I should watch it.
I think librarian is just a profession, so I don't think that necessarily denotes that she would have any taste. I assume it's a she. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a he. Maybe I'm being bigoted.
One, none of the characters are likable at all. Every character is an a-hole who I never have any sympathy for.
I agree. I remember that one guy tries to, like, shoot up the school, and then the other guy just steps in front of him stupidly, and I'm just like, I hope this guy gets shot, and then he didn't. Because I was here when my friend was watching it, and I'm just like, this is god-awful. I can't... But, like, he didn't get shot, and I'm like, yeah, that's a smart idea. Let's walk out in front of the guy with a fucking rifle. That's a smart idea. Mm-hmm. Oh, also the scene with the mop or the broom or whatever that gets shoved up his ass, that was just kind of funny to me.
Even the girl who kills herself in the beginning sucks. She literally blames everyone for her problems, and even tries to get everyone to turn on each other after she's already dead.
Yeah, that sounds about right. She's really conniving and manipulative, and I don't like that. All the characters in that show are really conniving and manipulative, though, now that I think about it. But also, that show, like, glorifies suicide, and didn't it, like, create a lot of copycats or something, like, right after it came out? Like, I'm not saying that, oh, we should censor it, because I'm against censorship wholesale. I'm not going to blame the show for that. I'm just saying that for a show that's trying to claim it's raising suicide awareness, it's kind of ironic that that happened.
Like, why would you care if you're just going to kill yourself? It's a clear sign that she's doing it for attention.
It feels like every character in that show wants attention from someone or another, because it's ridiculous. Like, everyone acts out in really crazy, erratic ways, and it's something that's definitely takes you out of it.
And then the reason shows like BoJack Horseman and Always Sunny in Philadelphia work, despite that they have unlikable jerks as main characters, is because they are unlikable to everyone else, but entertaining to the viewer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't particularly like, anything after Season 3 of BoJack. Like, BoJack, I love the first 3 seasons. But Always Sunny I love except for Season 13. But I love Seasons 1 through 12 and 14. So I would agree, yeah. The characters, as long as they're enjoyable to the audience, they can be as unlikable to all the characters as they want, as long as they are enjoyable to watch. And 13 Reasons Why just isn't. I agree.
By either being funny, or even wanting to redeem themselves.
Yeah, exactly. The characters in Always Sunny and BoJack definitely have a lot more personality to them, and are actually entertaining and human. Except for BoJack, who's a horse. But you know what I mean. Like, they're human in the sense that they're actually complex characters, whereas in 13 Reasons Why, everyone is just kind of a caricature of a stereotype. Like, there's not really any depth to them as characters. And they try to do, like, a redemption thing with that one, like, rapist guy in the 3rd season, and they just don't do anything to try and make it, like, good. They just, like, say, oh, we should feel bad for him now because he's dead. And I'm like, I don't know. I think you kind of got to earn redemption. Like, I'm not saying you can't redeem characters like that, because I think that by the end of A Clockwork Orange, you sympathize with Alex quite a bit. But with 13 Reasons Why, they just don't do anything that makes you actually want to root for the characters.
13 Reasons Why is just depressing for the sake of being depressing. The point of the show is to bring suicide awareness in hopes of stopping suicide, but it doesn't even do that right, because after the show came out, the teenage suicide rate went up.
Yeah, right, I mentioned that earlier, yeah. Again, I thought that was true.
So I have absolutely no clue why it got more than one season. You think people would want to take away a show that literally influences people to kill themselves? But, oh well, I guess.
Well, again, I'm not in favor of canceling a show just because, it's controversial, but I mean, I don't think it would, I don't see how it would still be profitable, is my thing. Because, again, I'm against censorship, I don't care, because people ultimately make their own decisions still. But I do agree that a show that's trying to raise awareness, how is it still getting views if it does the exact opposite?
And for my final unpopular opinion, men are superior to women.
I thought you said this was unpopular opinions, not controversial facts.
Good night, everybody.
Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Red Eye Responds. This has been Fugitive Red Eye. I hope you've enjoyed. Have a good one, and toodles.
What am I watching? I don't know, but I hate it.
One little sniff of pussy and you lose it.